It's the Vancouver Canadians pregame show powered by North Beach Agency. Tyler Zickel here alongside none other than the skipper, Donnie Murphy. Skip, happy Wednesday, game 2 against Eugene tonight. How's it going down there in the clubhouse?
Oh, it's good right now. Hopefully a rebound from yesterday's game and, get a fresh win streak started today.
Yeah, a little bit of a stinker last night. Eugene came out hot, put up 4 runs in the first. It's never good to be looking up at the other team before your guys have a chance to swing the stick. Looking back this year, looks like the Seas have just 1 win in 5 tries on that first game of the series. I'm not trying to read too much into that. Is that more of a coincidence?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely planned. No, if you wouldn't have told me that, I would have known. But maybe it's good luck for us. Maybe in reality, maybe it wakes us up a little bit.
Mm.
Maybe get a little too comfortable that first game playing a team. Wakes us up a little bit. I mean, we finished the series strong, but it'd be nice if we didn't do that all year. Hopefully, we can get that first win right out of the way real quick.
I hear that for sure. And a lot has happened since the last time we had a chance to have a conversation, including a historic 8-game winning streak about a week and a half ago that one came to an end. But man, the boys were playing such good ball during that stretch. They won 13-4. And then later in the series, they won with just 2 hits and in a 1-run game. So the boys seem to find ways to get it done. And obviously that starts at the top. So what are you trying to impart to these guys, regardless of how the sticks are showing up or how the arms are performing that day? Finding ways to win, that's a key to success in this game.
Yeah, it was wild, that the whole win streak. It was like we had one big game offensively that stuck out, and then we had that, like you said, 2-hit win where the pitching carried us. Things we talk about all the time are just, the things you don't think about are going to win and lose us ball games, and who would have ever thought that having two hits would win us a game? But, like the pitching totally carried us that day, and we found a way to walk, put a rod together, put some walks together, and ended up winning. It's just, more so just going about, the things that you don't find or really pay attention to are the ones that come back and honestly help you, and you win games that way. And that's the one thing we're not trying to skip over the little things right now. We're making sure that we're taking care of everything, because during the 8-game win streak, it was everything. It seemed like it was one thing after another. It wasn't always the same day after each other. The wins didn't mirror each other. They're all different. So just the little things, just preaching the little things right now and making sure we do them.
It's a month into the season, or just about. Last night was game number 25, and your team is 15-10, right there in the mix at the top of the 6-team circuit. And I think there's an opportunity now for us to be able to look back and really get a good grade of where this team is at and what this team can do on the field and off. Seems like everybody certainly is pulling on their side of the rope. We've got role players up and down the lineup and across the bullpen and in the starting rotation. And it seems like things are really starting to settle into that routine and that rhythm and flow that is so crucial in baseball. Is that something that you could testify to in terms of guys know their role now? Things have been established. I think 1 through 6 in the order is pretty much the same day in and day out. You might do some defensive shifting with those guys, but we know who we're getting, and it's been a successful start to the year.
Yeah, I mean, I think in the very beginning, it was just trying to plug guys in or trying to figure out who worked where. I think that was a learning thing, especially when you're around a bunch of new guys. You really don't know where they best suited. You think you do, but until it actually plays itself out, like you said, 1 through 6 now is pretty locked in, at least at 5 out of 6 days. And they show up knowing that, so they know what to expect. Now, I think in the beginning, everybody was just trying to fill each other out, and I think we got to a point now where everybody knows what to expect and what the week looks like for each guy. I think that's helped out a lot in terms of comfort and what to expect for those guys' roles. A lot of these guys know now that don't get locked in on one spot. You're going to be playing multiple, and unfortunately right now, it's just part of it. We got guys that are doing really well at the top, and so it's gonna be hard to get some at bats from those guys. But there's everybody's knocking on the door. Everybody's working hard every day. They want their opportunity, and they'll get it when it happens, because it's baseball. It's everybody has their ups and downs, and you'll get their opportunities. And there's injuries too. There's a crazy year already in baseball where stuff is happening nonstop. So if you're not getting your opportunities right now, the guys know that they'll eventually get it, and they'll be ready.
I have a couple of specific players to ask you about, but before we do that, I want to know, given that this is likely the first full professional season for just about everybody on your roster. There's a couple of guys certainly who were with Low A Lansing a couple of years ago, so they got a taste of full season ball. But so many of these guys were in short season in 2019, and then of course with the canceled season last year, no chance to really get a feel for what it's like to play a full schedule. And it's only going to get longer as they go higher up in the minors, and eventually may they all make the show, of course. So for you, as a guy who has a lot of experience in the big leagues and then also plenty of time in the minor leagues coaching in a full season, what are you imparting to these guys here on June 2nd? Maybe they may be pressing too much or trying to go full bore. Is there an opportunity to impart some wisdom as to how to make it a long season and stay healthy the whole time?
Yeah, I mean, we've actually had that talk quite a bit lately. I know the first week you kind of let guys, or the first couple weeks you kind of let guys do their own thing. You know, everybody's excited to be here, and then you see like the workloads, they start getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and you realize that, hey guys, like, you know, we're like 12, 15 games into this at the time. Um, we got a heck of a lot more. You know, we're off to a sprinter's pace right now, but we all know this is a marathon. So just trying to educate them, trying to get them to understand, like, we're not trying to tell you that you can't do things. It's just be smart in how much you do those on a daily basis. And sometimes we just need to switch up the routine and just go play. You know, sometimes your mental side of your game really needs that break of not going out there and grinding early. Maybe you just need to go play the game. Those are things that they are still learning, because sometimes they feel like they still need everything, and they'll realize really quickly that you've done enough of this your career and your whole lifetime that, you know, 1 or 2 days off is not going to affect that at all. So it's just going out there and making them understand that, you know, there's going to be a point in the season where you're going to hit a wall, and you're going to have to figure out how to get past that wall, and trying to educate them as early as possible, so when they do that, they know what to expect, and they've already heard it. They know what to do afterwards.
We're talking with the skipper, Donnie Murphy, as part of the Vancouver Canadians pregame show. Now, Skip, want to talk about some individual performances, talk about guys who've really been succeeding most recently, specifically Nick Fraze and Paxton Schultz. They have been terrific on the bump. It seems like every 6th day you're going to get 6 innings, and right now you're going to get goose eggs from those guys and a lot of punchies as well. I've had a chance to talk to both of those guys individually over the past week, and they seem to really have their head in the right spot. What have you seen from the manager's perch from those two guys?
You know, extremely confident on the mound right now, trusting their stuff. I think the biggest thing is just watching both of them. They really pay attention to the game. They really pay attention, and they're lucky that too is, you know, Nick, you know, he has game 4 every series, and Schulte has game 6, so they get to see a lot of at bats through the whole process, and they really pay attention. Especially Pax, I'm really impressed by him, and that he can articulate, he can play back a game really well, and he can paint a picture for you how it went down and how he's going to attack these guys. And Frazier, he's just going out and execute. You know, he's letting that 2-seamer run on him, and as soon as he sees them start to cheat, he just starts throwing that slider out there and keeps them off balance. But they're extremely confident right now, and they're executing at a very high level, and they're getting a lot of outs doing it.
On the other side of the spectrum, a guy who's very confident and has been very successful both in the past and this season, who's run into some struggles of late, our guy Adam Kloffenstein. A couple of starts where I know he's been a little bit frustrated, doesn't look entirely comfortable on the mound. In fact, on his follow-through, I've noticed he's looking down at the slope a lot. So is there anything you can say and share with us about what Clough has been working on of late and where he's kind of pointing in the direction of? Because to be honest, after those first few starts, I was thinking, we're not going to have Adam Kloffenstein here for a while. He was on that rocket ship trajectory, but in the long term, this is probably better for his development because, of course, he's just 20.
Yeah, no, I mean, no doubt. I mean, you think about a guy that young. I mean, he's never struggled. You know, he always dominated through high school, beginning of your pro career. Man, these hiccups, I mean, they could be great for you. As much as they're not awesome to them at the time. You learn a lot. You learn a lot about yourself. You learn about, you know, things that you thought you did know, but really weren't really on top of. I think he's going through a period right now where there's a lot of an adjustment period, trying to figure out, is it mechanical? Is it mental? Am I thinking too much? Am I trying to do too much? You know, they're diving into that right now, but, you know, I'm not worried about him. You know, he'll be back on track. But just right now, it's just trying to find answers and get him back on track and make him feel comfortable out there. Because you're right, he doesn't look very comfortable out there right now. He looks like the game is sped up a little. It looks like he's thinking a lot. And once we get past that and really get to the root problem of this, maybe it's just not trusting himself as much as he was in the past. It could be multiple things, but we'll get there. Phil Kandari is working with him every day and talking to him. So we're definitely on the right track, and we'll get Adam back on track real quick.
It's a lot of responsibility for a young man, especially with all the expectation on his shoulders. I think he's performed far beyond expectations for a 20-year-old. I know you were chasing big league dreams when you were 20, Murph, but when I was 20, no chance I'd be able to handle even iota of the pressure that Clough seems to handle like it's nothing. So cheers to Clough as he continues to make his way back. On the offensive side, Spencer Horwitz, my goodness, have yourself a season. If I need a walk to save my life, I'm calling Spencer Horwitz. Forget any big leaguer. Get Spencer Horwitz to the dish. What a discerning batter's eye. What do you like as his skipper?
Oh man, like all I know is if we're in a tie game, we're late in the game, and he's leading off, it's an automatic guy on first base or second base every time, just because he's either a walker hit. No, that's great. He's definitely very, has a very good idea of what he's trying to do at the plate. Has a very good, doesn't expand. I think the only time I ever see him expand is if he tries to do too much, and then he hones it right back in afterwards. He doesn't ever give in. He knows what kind of hitter he is. Obviously, with all the walks you see, he doesn't give in. Very impressed on how he's gone about his work. He's got very routine, regimented, throughout the day. Does the same, he makes sure that he gets his work in, comes in a little bit early if needed, if he knows that he's not going to get enough. But I'm very impressed with how he started this year.
We're near the end of our time here, Murph, and I don't want to take up much more of it because I know you got a lot left to do before our game tonight. But before I ask you just a couple of personal questions related to your time in the show, I want to know, is there any guy on your roster, either in the bullpen, the starting rotation, or in the lineup, who has surprised you through the first 25 games this year?
Man, Eden, watching Eden, I knew he was talented, and I always heard that, like if he can just figure a couple things out, he'd be a really good player. And you're starting to see it now. Even though he's dropped a little bit this past week, he really had a really good at bats yesterday. It seemed like he got back on track yesterday. A couple hard hit outs. Once he's on the bases, it's game on. I feel like we're gonna get a run every time he gets on base. Been very, very pleased and surprised by Eden this year. Pitching side, a guy that I got to see 4 years ago, my AC. That's big league stuff right there. It's cool to see him healthy again. I don't think he pitched for 3 years. Just to see him go out there and throw that sinker slider combo again and just absolutely dominate these hitters. Super impressed. And then seeing how Danner has transitioned from catching to pitching now, and he'll even joke and say, you know what, I faked it for too long. I'm actually where I needed to be the whole time. So like it's good. It's good to see when guys admit that, and he's having fun. He's extremely confident. Yeah, but I think there's a couple guys that that we haven't seen get off to the fastest starts, or they're kind of like what you said is they're struggling a little bit right now. But there are some dudes on this team that I can see maturing and growing as a player and possibly playing in the big leagues later on down the road.
Skip, can't thank you enough for the time. As always, such a treat chatting with you. And here's to another opportunity for the C's to get back in the win column. Hey, we talked about Tuesday games, Wednesday games. It's a good record on hump day for the C's. So appreciate you for joining us here on the pregame show. And most importantly, keep doing what you're doing. It's been fun to watch. And thanks as always, Donnie.
Thank you.
More pregame show after this, and later, first pitch between the Canadians and the Emeralds. It's Canadian Tire Canadians Baseball and the North Beach Agency Vancouver Canadians pregame show.